Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Ismail and today I'll be showing you how to host a static website on AWS using S3, CloudFront, Route 53 and AWS Certificate Manager ACM. So this video demonstrates how I hosted a static website on AWS Amazon Web Services using Amazon S3 for storage, Amazon CloudFront for global content delivery, Amazon Route 53 for DNS management, and AWS Certificate Manager ACM for secure HTTPS communication. Whether you're a developer, a student, or just curious about cloud computing, by the end of this video, you will have your own website live on the internet and powered by AWS. So grab your laptop, hit that like button, and let's get started. First, let's break down the architecture behind this setup. When a user tries to access a website, Amazon Route 53 comes in first. It takes the request from the custom domain and routes it to Amazon CloudFront, which is our content delivery network, CDN. CloudFront doesn't just deliver content. CloudFront also makes sure your website is secure, thanks to an SSL certificate we manage through AWS Certificate Manager ACM. This lets us serve your website over HTTPS, which is great for security and trust. CloudFront then checks if the content is already cached in one of its global edge locations. If yes, the content is delivered super fast with low latency to the user. But if not, CloudFront goes back to the source, which is your Amazon S3 bucket, where your static website file lives. So in short, Route 53 handles the domain, CloudFront plus ACM manages delivery and security, while S3 stores your actual website files. So with that being said, let's get into our console and start building this architecture. So first, I went to Amazon S3 console and we're going to create a bucket. For the bucket name, I am going to use my custom domain name. This is really important if you want to connect it with Route 53 and SSL later. The next thing is to make this important change. Under the permissions section, you have to disable block all public access. AWS shows a warning, so you have to acknowledge that warning. And this is because it makes your bucket public, but since we are hosting a public website, it is okay. Then we check for all other things and leave them the way they are, then create our bucket. Now that we have our bucket, the next thing is to enter into the bucket and let's inspect what we have. First, we go into the properties to enable static website hosting. So we'll click on edit and we'll enable it. Then after enabling the static website hosting, we have to type in the index.html for the file and error.html just in case of any error. After that, we save changes, and the next thing to do is to get the link to view our website. For now, we won't get anything just because we don't have any file in the bucket yet. We don't have any object in the bucket, so there won't be anything. 403 forbidden, there won't be anything to display. So the next thing we have to do now is to upload our files. So we click on upload and then we'll add files. We'll add our index.html file or the file for our static website. So here I have my portfolio website, index.html file, the JavaScript and the CSS file, added them, and then the last folder I also added to the bucket, and then I'll upload it. So after it has successfully uploaded, you'll be able to view it and see our files that we just uploaded. So I'll close this, and now I'm able to view and see the files I just uploaded inside the bucket. These are called the objects. So we have our bucket, and inside our bucket we have the object. When we try to access this link, it is still going to be 403 forbidden because we don't have access to the bucket. And to do this, we have to edit the bucket policy so we can be granted access to the objects inside the bucket. So we go to the permissions tab and locate our bucket policy. Then we edit it and we write a policy that allows public read access. Now I'll be using AWS policy generator to generate the policy we'll be using. First, the type of policy is an S3 bucket policy. Then the effect is going to be allow statement, and the principal will be all objects in that bucket. So we'll use asterisk. So for the action, we want to get objects. So S3 get objects is what we're going to use, get objects. So we're going to choose that to get objects. And then the ARN, that's the S3 ARN, we'll find it's located here, and we'll copy this and come here and paste it down here. So the next thing is to generate this statement. Actually, there's a statement here already, but I can remove it and let's just generate this new one, generate policy. So here's our policy now. We have it. It is a JSON document. I can edit the statement to a read all objects because we want to be able to read all the objects in that bucket. So this is it. Then we will copy it and paste it in our bucket policy. Now the next thing is to save changes. Since we already have our bucket policy, we save changes and continue. Now we have successfully created or updated the bucket policy, and now our website should be able to load. We should have access to our website now. So here it is. The website is fully ready to use, and what we have just done is to make it available for everybody by making it go public. The next thing to do now is to head over to Route 53 to get the domain. I actually have a domain already, and if you don't know how to get a domain, you can check my channel, as I have a video that gives the step-by-step guideline on how to create a domain and how to purchase a domain from AWS. So we click on registered domain to see my registered domain. As you can see, I have a domain registered already, ismail.oyeleke.com. So this is the domain I'll be using for this project. And then we have to go to your hosted zone, the public hosted zone. AWS automatically creates a hosted zone for you when you buy a domain, when you register a domain. So, and it comes with, let's inspect what we have inside let's inspect this hosted zone. So it comes with, there are also about 2 records that comes with it when you register with AWS Route 53. The public hosted zone allows AWS to manage DNS records for the domain, and this is very essential for linking everything together later. Now that we know that we have our domain and public hosted zone ready, the next thing is to configure our CloudFront. Hosting on S3 alone has a flaw. If my bucket, for example, is in US East 1, that's North Virginia, so a user in Lagos or Tokyo will experience latency issue. So to fix this, we have to set up CloudFront distribution. The CloudFront caches the website files at edge locations around the world. So now when you visit that site, you are not pulling data from North Virginia, but you are pulling it from the server nearest to you. So that is why we need CloudFront to catch our website at edge locations that are closer to the users. With that being said, we click on CloudFront and then we create distribution in CloudFront. So we are going to be picking the free plan, so the free $0 per month. So I will choose next. Then we have to come up with a name for the distribution. We're going for let's use static website CloudFront distribution, CFD. So now we're going to pick the domain. We already have a domain registered, ismail.oyeleke.com, and we check if it's so the domain is registered. And the next thing is to choose next. The next thing we have to do is to specify origin. So we'll be picking Amazon S3 since our static website files are in our S3. So now we have to browse our S3 to pick, and we'll choose our S3 bucket, ismail.oyeleke.com. So this is the S3 bucket endpoint, but we have to use the website endpoint because this is for web hosting, and AWS recommend using S3 website endpoint rather than the bucket endpoint. So we're just going to go ahead and use the website endpoint since there are static files inside that bucket. Then for the settings, we'll go ahead and choose, for the origin settings, we choose use recommended origin, and for the cache settings, we also use the recommended AWS settings. Then we click next. For the enable security, we don't really need to do anything there. We can just skip it and go into our get TLS certificate. Here we need to configure SSL certificate using ACM, that's AWS Certificate Manager. To make the website secure, we are going to go ahead and create a free public certificate using Certificate Manager, ACM. So let's go ahead and create certificate in ACM. Then we are going to request a certificate, request a public certificate. We are going to click next, and we are going to enter the domain name, our domain name, which is for this website, it's ismail.oyeleke.com. Allow export. We are going to disable export. Validation method, we'll be using DNS validation. It is AWS recommended and it is faster to use. For the key algorithm, we are going to go ahead and use the RSA 2048, and then we request our certificate. It is going to be pending for now, pending validation, and we need to create a record in our hosted zone so it can be validated, and that is what we are going to be doing next. We have to create a record, so we click on create records in Route 53, and then we create record. We click create record. Now we're going to refresh this certificate, and it should be issued to us now since we already created a record and we've passed the validation stage. Okay, now it is issued. Since we have our certificates ready, we can go back to CloudFront and continue creating our distribution. Now we would notice the SSL certificate you just created is ready for use. So the certificate details is shown. Then we click on next and we review all what we have created. So we review them properly. Let's check everything from the beginning. This is the free plan. The name, the domain, next. Then the origin, we use the recommended, next. Enable security, we skip that. Then the TLS certificate. So we can go ahead and create our distribution since everything is ready. Now we have our CloudFront distribution. Let's inspect it and check some things. Let's check the behaviors, and we choose edit, click on it, and we edit just to check what is going on. We have the redirect HTTP to HTTPS. Redirecting HTTP to HTTPS in an Amazon CloudFront distribution is critical for security because it ensures that all traffic is encrypted and that users always connect to the secure version of your website. Let's go ahead and try our website if this domain name is going to work. As we can see, the domain name is not working, and that is because we haven't pointed our domain name to the CloudFront distribution yet. So the next thing we are going to do is go back to Route 53 and try to create a record that points us to the CloudFront distribution. So create a record in Amazon Route 53 in our hosted zone. Click on hosted zone. Remember the hosted zone that was showed earlier, ismailOyeleke.com, for this particular project. So we click create record now, and we're going to create a new record. So we're going to keep this domain empty so as to make sure that the record created is created for the root domain. So the next thing is to turn on this alias, and we're going to alias it to CloudFront distribution, and then we search for our distribution and choose the one that we created. So now that is all, and we just create the record. Now we're going to create the record. We create the record, and since we have the record created now and the domain is already pointed to our CloudFront distribution, we can go ahead and test the website, and everything should work properly now. Notice how the site did not open. It is not working, and that is due to domain propagation, which takes about 5 minutes to some hours. So we're just going to give it time and try it again later. So we're just going to go ahead and wait a little bit and retry. Let's try it again now. It should probably work now. Okay, and we are in. Now we have successfully hosted our static website using Amazon S3 buckets, Route 53, and CloudFront distribution. So we have everything ready, and that's it. A complete walkthrough of how I hosted my static website on AWS using S3, CloudFront, ACM, and Route 53. This setup is scalable, secure, and cost-effective, and it is something you can replicate for your own project. If you found this helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.